Welcome on into the Skolcial Network. It's been a couple weeks. Brev and I took a little bye week heading into. I know it's training camp, Brev, but I guess you can consider this our first show of the actual 2024 season. Now the camp started.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. This is my first public appearance since I disappeared from the internet, so this feels weird.
Yeah, Brev decided to just go live off the grid. It kind of a little bit of a like Unabomber situation. Do I have to be worried?
Well, I would just say no, never. I was gonna make an Olympics joke, but that would have been like I don't that could have been flagged
Yeah.
by
Well,
the
in
government.
I mean, it could have also been flagged that I even made the joke I did. But with that in mind, it is funny to me that now you have to wait for news articles to see what's going on with camp instead of getting instantaneous minute to minute updates.
You
What a
do. It is kind of crazy how how Twitter is this bastion of like you get stuff immediately. So being without that is like honestly, on a sports note, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but like on a personal level, I don't miss it at all, really.
yeah.
And I will come back if anybody cares, because I didn't even like tweet anything. I just texted two group chats, hey, I probably won't be on here for a while. If you care, I might be back. I might not be. I'll come back when I miss it. I don't miss it right now, so I don't know.
Everybody tweet hashtag bring back Brev and we'll see what the demand is. And when I mean
Oh,
everybody, I mean all 200 viewers we typically get. That'll be enough, I think.
so true.
But a lot of news out of camp. We'll start there and then we'll talk about something I teed up on Twitter because I'm too addicted to the internet to do what you did. I don't have the self control. About a week and a half ago. But let's. Do you want to start? I mean, obviously, I think it depends on the side of the ball. If we're talking good news, bad news, what should we start with? Because they're very different stories so far.
I believe you start with the bad news usually, and that can be teed off with the fact that I'm never trying to name a duo of players again, which we don't have to go that deep into. But
Yeah, really don't.
if you know, you know.
Yeah, I will hold that against you permanently. That is significantly worse than the Drake May kerfuffle of 2024.
My bad.
So far, uh, two corners in 2 days down. That would be Mackay on what day is it? Friday, Wednesday. Torn ACL. What are your thoughts on how that changes the dynamic of the defense? Not just not I mean obviously in our situation losing another corner is terrible in general, but specifically with his style of play, what is going to be hard to replace?
Um, I guess I don't know if his play this year. I'd like to say it would have been hard to replace. But this year was kind of about him breaking out. And the whole thing about Mackay Blackman this year was hoping that he would live up to the somewhat high expectations that we made after his play last year when he outplayed his draft position. So um, it's hard to say how good he would have been this year. I think he would have been fine. I think we would have thought he was a little bit better than he really was just because we're so used to bad corners. But I was really excited for Makai Black. I thought he'd be solid. Um, but I think I don't. We're definitely. I don't know. I sound like such a hater. We're definitely gonna miss him, but it's just so hard to say what we will be missing in terms to what he would have brought to the team. Definitely hurts
Yeah.
the continuity of the corner room that they're trying to find, and over the last few weeks, for things out of their control, and specifically, of course, one thing that football doesn't matter about, it's taken some hits. So
Yeah. I think physicality uh obviously was a big factor and it seemed like drafting him last year, obviously losing Kyrie recently, but what he was drafted to do, the idea was to create physicality in the corner room. Do want to say Kevin O'Connell's speech today at Kyrie Jackson's funeral was awesome. Shared a great story about him choosing not to have surgery or work done on his shoulder because, quote, he needed to be out there with his brothers. Uh, Love that. Just speaks to what we've already heard about the guy. But going back to the broader sense of what it looked like Kwesi and especially B-Flow, because he's calling the shots on personnel, are trying to do was physicality. I think that's part of what Booth was there for, but so far don't, don't really have a whole lot to show for that. Um, and then you take that and then you add on top the news from yesterday of Shaq Griffin getting hurt as well. What do we do? Do we just run with what we have? Do we make a trade? Like, what's going to happen?
They got to add, and I know they added Duke Shelley back. Woohoo!
That
And
was in the good news section.
oh, sorry, but well, you asked what we're gonna do, so I'm telling you what they're gonna do. They brought back Shelley, which I will talk about more in a minute, I guess, and some guy I forgot the name of from the Texans.
With he has Lewis Scene's career stat line of one
Oh, good.
tackle
Oh, sweet.
and was an undrafted guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so now your corner room is Byron Murphy. Hopefully, Shaquille Griffin is nothing serious. Um, Caleb Evans, Duke Shelley, Andrew Booth. Um, we were feeling really good about this corner room a couple weeks ago. And again, I hate bringing up Kyrie in a football sense because again, it doesn't
100%.
matter. It does not matter, but you kind of talking about this, it has to be brought up. We felt really good about the corner room just July 5th. And ever since then, it's been kind of a slow, steady decline.
Yeah.
To where I was never, I didn't have the highest expectations for the cornerback room. I think your realistic cornerback expectations should have been people that can stick to coverage just long enough for a good 2.5, 3 seconds for pressure to get home. And that's still what the expectation should be, but the expectations are now a lot lower, and now we're right back to it feels like a couple of years ago where is it Caleb Evans really going to be your cornerback too, pending what's up with
Oh.
Shaquille Griffin? Which, if that's the case, I don't know, truthfully.
I gotta say also because we haven't gotten a chance to talk about this. Watching receiver, it's actually there's like multiple. Obviously, it follows Justin Jefferson, but even while he's out, there's a good amount of Vikings games in there because you have the Lions, the Niners, and the Raiders.
Hmm.
I think every single one of them has a Caleb Evans getting absolutely toasted by somebody.
Yeah,
And to add insult to injury, it has Mekhi Blackman talking mad crap to Devontae Adams, which when I saw that, I got even more hyped about him having an opportunity this year. I joked on Twitter. I said, like, here's the thing. Let's evaluate what we're going to do next year in the draft. Oh, we have limited draft potential. Who cares? We still have our first round pick. Kwesi got 2 first round talents. Give the man his roses, whatever you want to say. We're probably going to draft either a corner or defensive tackle, anyways. You might as well just admit that in this league, corner is probably a little more important, slightly, than a defensive tackle. Maybe that's controversial, especially if you have good, dependable edge rushers. It's not like your entire line is falling apart, but you might as well call the Broncos and see if next year's first and maybe a couple picks in 2026 will get the job done to get Patrick Surtain. You get a guaranteed stud of a player. You have the cap space in 2025 and beyond. His contract currently goes through 2025. If you really want to just get a guaranteed stud and obviously pay more money and more capital to do it, but you like the guaranteed stability, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's not beyond the realm of like a thought process that could make sense.
yeah, and I mean, Pat, it would only open up the things that Minnesota could do, kind of. I mean, at the end of the day, Sertan's just one corner. I think you could argue you could forgo even doing that because for a defense like Flores, is you really you're fine with a bunch of Byron Murphys. You're not fine with one Byron Murphy and a bunch of Andrew Booths, but with a bunch of and Byron Murphy isn't the best corner in the world, but a Brian Flores defense can get away with average corners. So at
Yeah.
that point, you kind of have to look at. I mean, is it really worth giving up all that stuff for Pat Surtain? Which I wouldn't be mad at that trade whatsoever. But I guess
I think that would get done closer to in season in the actual not closer to, but in season. I think that could be a trade deadline move if the Vikings are competitive, and given the beginning of our schedule, when I say are competitive, I mean like 3-4, or 4-3. In that case, we would have had to upset some pretty big teams. But I could see that happening. The Broncos, Bo Nix, shockingly is Bo Nix, right? Like, who's their backup right now?
Zach Wilson.
It is Zach Wilson. I had totally forgotten about that. Yeah, I all those guys, him and uh, Ritter and Fields moving around, Mac Jones. It was just an
Where did
offseason of
Ritter
mid.
go? I forgot where Ritter went.
No, it wasn't Pittsburgh.
Or did
Where
he
did
even did he get traded? No, he
he
did.
did? Phil? No, Philly is Kenny
Philly
Pick.
got
Did
Kenny
every
Pickett.
mid quarterback just
Sam
get moved?
Howell Sam Howell got traded to Seattle.
Sam Howell might be who I'm thinking of. No, Ritter's on the Cardinals.
That's
Hmm.
right. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, Sam Howell. Everyone, what are
Yeah.
we doing?
Kirk
This was a
Cousins went to
weird.
Atlanta. It's crazy.
Yeah, all those mid
Yeah.
QBs. I did see a tweet that, and I don't know the validity of this, but that there was a meeting after Makai went down, not even after Shaq went down, because Shaq was in the meeting, and Brian Flores and the DB coach met with Cam Bynum, who was a corner in college, with the promise of Theo Jackson, which we've talked about being like a net positive, but maybe not something you want to bank on right this second. Could you see realistically Bynum playing corner?
It's what he played in college. He was a slot corner. So I don't think he will, honestly, but if it got bad enough, I think that would be optimal. Depends who's on the market for you to go and get free agency and trade wise, but um, I don't know. I don't think he'd be if he were to play slot corner. I don't think it'd be like okay, in Madden we're editing this player and we're changing him from FS to CB. I think it would be they would stick him in at slot cornerback, which I mean they've done anyway. They just do it at a higher rate, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and obviously when Metellus does line up at the safety position, that's usually kind of where Bynum drops down
And
to.
I
So it
wonder
wouldn't
how
be
much of a say Bynum would have in that because he's going to be playing for a contract
money.
this
Yeah.
year. So
I mean, here's the thing the way Quasey's moving, and this might, I think that's all the bad news of the week. Yeah, so far, that I'm aware of. But pivoting from there, maybe we could talk about, well, the surprises that we ran into Tuesday, Wednesday. Was it the first day of camp? I think so. That we re-signed Darrisaw earlier than expected. Obviously, bringing back Duke Shelley, we'll talk about. But a lot of people think that maybe the Bynum deal gets done sooner than later because the Darrisaw deal was kind of a surprise.
potentially, I mean, I was really shocked to see that there. So where, admittedly, where a lot of my finding out about um, things
News.
happening now is like I get a Instagram notification that Vikes Insider has posted, and that's like 15 minutes later I find out. So that means I'm probably like 30 minutes behind Twitter, but
About,
I was
yeah.
shocked. I definitely expected a Bynum deal to get done before a Darrisaw deal, just because a Bynum deal has to be get done sooner. But the Darrisaw deal was like I looked at it and I was like, this is marvelous. Maybe I'm
It's
over exaggerating.
it's incredible. I mean, you see fans of other fan bases being like, he's never been named an All Pro, he's never been a Pro Bowler, blah blah blah. Um, he had his worst graded year last year. Well, one, look at the quarterbacks he had. Two, and no weapons, right? Like everybody just knew send an all out blitz
His
and
worst
Dobbs.
graded year is way better than a lot of NFL tackles' best years by a wide margin. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I know the Pro Bowl is more about the recognition now than anything, but I don't know just what the Pro Bowls turn into means I don't even care about the recognition. Like I'll retweet what Vikings make it and be like, "Good job." But like it's I don't even care. But the greatest thing Quasey did is the deal doesn't hit I think until after 25 fully, and by then you're going to see the cap raise a couple times and see the market be completely reset on tackles. He jumped the market. And also, like, yes, that's credit to Quasey, but Darrisaw and his agent knew that that was the case. And I don't want it to go unnoticed that he also knowingly sacrificed money for the security of being a Minnesota Viking through the most important possible window where this current plan is due to come to fruition. Like he made that commitment to say that 25 through 29 window, I'm literally going to be in the trenches here with you.
People are asking, does Quasi deserve credit here? Or is he just riding the coattails of Rick Spielman? Hmm.
At the end of the day,
People are asking.
here's the reality of it. Like obviously I want people to get credit for good draft picks, but a draft pick requires good scouting and maybe knowing the board. In that case, Spielman did a great job in that pick. Negotiating a contract against an ever increasing market when the player has the leverage to hold out and almost guarantee that they make more money, you both like in that case, Quasi 100% deserves credit.
I agree. I was just saying people
Okay.
are asking. I'm not
What
people.
people? Where are the people
People are
asking? Because
asking.
again,
People
you're
are
look
asking.
in Instagram, well, you're not in.
I'm sure people on Twitter are asking.
You're sure?
Maybe one
Okay.
specific person.
Maybe one specific person and their minions. Correct.
Yeah. Something like that.
I mean, I again, like, yeah, that was probably one of the best moves Spielman made, but I also think Quasi getting ahead of it and obviously, like, we just had two incredible cornerstones of our team commit to play long term in an off season where everyone in the media is saying the Vikings are effectively cooked. So, I said this the other day, but having the culture thing be something that people poke fun at is whatever, I get it, but like people are bought in to the point where like they're committing and they're knowingly sacrificing potentially more money down the road. So I want to give Creasy his due.
Yeah. If people are buying in when Sam Darnold is your starting quarterback, probably, then something's going right there. And that is all evidence of the Vikings winning the NFLPA Super Bowl every offseason.
Indeed. So Duke Shelley, fan favorite. Um, I don't think he hurts the cornerback room. I
No,
think if anything, it's just stability. I mean, he's really good, especially for somebody for his size, at combating passes at the point of the catch. I think we need that because a lot of what we had last year were guys who were right next to receivers and let them make catches.
I'm interested to see him in the Flores style defense as opposed to Donatel, because Donatel style defense he was all right. So in the
Which is
Flores
crazy
defense,
because no one else was.
yeah. Patrick Peterson was okay when he was just playing a deep zone and covered three, but and in terms of playing the cornerback position, yeah, Duke Shelley, and even then, that's where I kind of get my, and maybe I'm just being pessimistic, Brev. That didn't leave off Twitter, but like Duke Shelley looks so much better than he really was because of how awful that the shell defense and the corners were. And he was a lot of people were on the train to bring him back. What last off season? Um, After he went to what Vegas or before he went to Vegas, and I was kind of like, you're not gonna miss him, like I promise. But now it's nice to have somebody that was here. You can't even say he knows the scheme because he doesn't, but he's gonna learn it, I guess. But I guess it's not. It's continuity, but it's not. You needed somebody. Duke Shelley, I guess, would be near the top of the list of people that you'd want that to be.
Yeah.
So you know when I
I,
describe things as like straight face, like okay,
yes.
Duke Shelley signing. That's what that is.
Okay. Well, that's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
I'm
Bring back
just
Cam
checking to
Dantzler.
see. No, he literally did. He actually tweeted like something like, "I'm
Yeah,
right
I saw
here."
that. Shut up, Vikes
Oh
Insider.
god. Oh
We
god.
already have a
Vikes.
Caleb Evans at home.
Could you imagine those two in the same locker room?
No, I
They
can't.
would need. The only way it works is if you build them a separate locker room.
They would be
with just
besties.
giant floor to ceiling mirrors so they could take their selfies, their shirtless selfies. I can't. This is giving me panic. Anyways,
Have we recorded
perhaps
since Jordan Addison got arrested?
no,
Oh,
but here's my thought process is I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about Jordan Addison. So maybe we'll dip back to the bad news
back to the
or the
negative.
unknown news.
This was an inappropriate time to bring it up, I guess. Um, what an idiot.
Yeah. See, but here's the problem, and you probably missed this, is if you say that on Twitter, people will go after you because technically no one knows exactly what he did. Here's my bottom line. It's super simple. A lot of people were like, he wasn't drunk. He was high, and that's legal in California.
Oh,
Well, two things. Being drunk isn't illegal.
mm-hmm.
In a lot of places, being high isn't illegal. Doing either of those things, operating a motor vehicle, is always illegal.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point.
Breaking
I
news.
don't care if, you know, even if he fell asleep behind the wheel because he was tired, am I as mad? No, but am I like, dude, what the hell are you doing driving in that condition? Like, yes, the bottom line is these guys have millions of dollars and the NFL offers a free ride service wherever you are.
Yeah,
It's that simple. Like, protect yourself and most importantly, protect other people.
I you can't speak on what happened exactly because I don't know. I don't know when we'll know. I don't know if we'll know. But I mean, I've known people that have fallen asleep behind the wheel just because they were tired. Like it does happen, but I think it's enough. Even though he was only at whatever police station, whatever he was at, he was only there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. If it was enough for him to be taken into custody, like something.
Yeah,
And if the reports are true about the Vikings internal, the organization is pissed off, something happened. Like
I
there's
mean,
something there.
you're 100% spot on, but especially the timing, like, not to say that inherently changes the morality of the worst case scenario, but there is like that extra weight to it. My bottom line is I hope that we get more detail, but I'm just not stoked that he would put himself in that situation, regardless of the substance or the situation. If you're falling to sleep behind the wheel, you shouldn't be driving.
And
You're
it looks a lot worse because of what he did last offseason too. That adds a
correct.
lot onto it.
And I love you and I have talked about this. I'm a Jordan Addison stan, and you're maybe not quite as sold on him. But I'm rooting for the kid, but man, he's just got to take care of himself and not put himself or other people in danger. That's simply my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, speaking of Jordan Addison being too fast, let's talk
yeah.
about. Aha, that's a transition.
Well,
We'll start with what we saw yesterday, but also just a theme we've heard about through camp of Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy just absolutely slinging it right now. Now, granted, have to like rain on our own parade here. We can't talk about the really depleted corner group and then also just imagine that our quarterbacks are both Hall of Famers. But everything sounds promising so far, and some of the plays that have come out have looked impressive.
yeah, and this is where I start to be like, okay, I haven't seen that much about it, but I've seen like the surface level stuff, and even if I was still on Twitter again, I don't pay attention to training camp reports that much. I'm not. I sound so negative all the time, and
Yeah, dude, you suck.
my monotone ass voice makes it sound worse. Like we knew it was gonna happen. We knew they were gonna tear training camp up. Like, I'm not shocked. Maybe that's me complimenting them, saying I knew they were gonna do this well. But I'm happy they're doing well. You totally never hear about people doing well at training camp. God, dude, we shouldn't. I sound like a bitch.
Just
Like
be happy. Just have joy.
I think JJ McCarthy is gonna start week 1.
Okay, that's possibly naivety, but I mean, he went eight for 9 yesterday in team drills. I'm looking for the exact description. I think it was from Alec Lewis, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry, Will Raggets. McCarthy is having a strong day, ripping the ball with velo, so velocity,
Oh, what a
into tight
word.
windows. And then,
What a nerd way to describe that. Sorry.
I mean,
Velo?
I don't know.
Nerd.
That's what he wrote, dude.
Nerd. I
And
know
then
it's
right
funny.
after
I
that,
saw I
Matthew
saw the
Collar.
report.
Sam Darnold is at it again, just hit a 40-yard deep shot to Jordan Addison.
Matthew Collar's a definite nerd.
Well, all right. Glad that you're really building the bridges. That's great. But yeah, I mean, I heard
Deep
that
call.
so far everything is impressive. But again, grain of salt. It's first and second day of camp, no pads, and you have the additional factor of no corners. Realistically,
Yeah.
to be spoken about. So, take it with a grain of salt. But here's the thing, like, we deserve to be a little geeked out and excited about some positive news after
Yes.
the last 3 weeks that we've experienced,
For
especially
sure.
when we're actively getting more bad news as the good news is happening.
Very true. And I think here's a positive spin for you. Um, I think what is happening in training camp right now when it comes to Darnold and McCarthy lines up exactly with what we think the season is going to be like. Maybe less with McCarthy, obviously, and that Sam Darnold is going to look the best that Sam Darnold ever has,
Oh, I
and
agree.
that's completely consistent with what's happening in training camp is completely consistent with what I think we've all consensus decided that Darnold will be not a top 12 quarterback this year, but he has a chance to Baker Mayfield it or even Case Keenum it. Probably not, but that chance is always there. I'm gonna
Well,
be happy and lie.
with that beautifully teed up transition,
Yeah, you like
let's
that?
do what I had thought about doing last week before you went off the grid.
Oh, sorry.
I
I had a
sent out
birthday
a
party.
tweet about I it was my son's and you're
I am your
something
son.
else. Well, about a week ago, and I don't think I'm gonna assume most of this has not changed since 2 practices without pads. But I asked Vikings Twitter, what are your personal expectations for the Vikings realistically this offseason? So, spoiler alert, most people said 7 to 10, 8 to 9, 9 and 8 within that range. What I want to do is just highlight a couple, get your thoughts on maybe their input. So I'll start with Michael Otis, who said 10 and 7. Bears and Packers will struggle, while the Vikings will do far better than they're expected to because Sam Darnold finally puts together a complete season because of a solid offensive line and having an excellent coach and team around him.
That's I mean, that could happen. There's a there's a non-zero chance. Um, the main thing I think the Bears could struggle for sure, just because I don't know if Eberflus is the guy. The main
Nope.
thing I disagree with is not even the Vikings. I mean, it's the NFL. There's very few things that you can predict that are like you're an idiot. This guy's not an idiot. I'm sure he's a really nice guy. What I'm saying, the thing I disagree with the most is the Packers thing. I don't think the Packers are going to struggle. I think the Packers are going to be like not really, really, really good. They're not going to win the division, I think, but I think Green Bay is going to be in that 10 to 11 to 12 win range, and uh, yeah, that's the main thing I disagree with. But like 10-7, I think we've talked about that as a possibility. Like
Yeah.
that's the high
I think
end.
10, 11 wins is that's my Case Keenum year, even though we're not winning 13 in that scenario like we did with Case. That's my, oh my God, magic is in the air scenario.
Yeah,
Like team of destiny.
I think with the Case
Um,
Keenum thing, people are like, well, Darnold's a better quarterback than Case Keenum. Well, yeah, but the 2017 defense is like tiers above where the Vikings defense is right now. So it's not a one-to-one thing.
yeah. Coming from optimistic Wolves fan, I've decided we're going to be 8 and 8 going into the last week, where a win and some help sneaks us into the playoffs. So last year, basically
Yeah.
last week, playoffs are possible scenario, but it goes our way where we win and the other cards fall our way as well.
Did we play the last week? Is it Detroit again? I forgot.
Probably, I think so.
Um, yeah, I mean that one. I have. It's hard to disagree with anything from that. Um, the NFC. I think a lot of teams in the NFC are going to be in that range of last year, whereas kind of everybody's fighting for seventh. Like Philadelphia and Dallas, they're going to be up there. I think. I think Dallas wins the division this year. You got your NFC South winner. Like NFC East will take the first wild card probably, and then I don't know, like Green Bay and Chicago, not just in your division, but you got to worry about them for the wild card spots. That's tough. 8 and honestly, just think now that I'm really thinking about 8 and 8, I don't know. Like you'd have to have a lot of help the last week. I think this year with how the NFC's shaping up. I think Arizona's one of those sleeper teams that are going to be in that conversation. Hot take. Shout out Arizona.
This one's a bit more on the other side. 5-12. I think the team is going to be okay, not contending in a tough NFC North. I could see us exceeding expectations if the defense takes a big step forward. I think we probably have too much talent to fall within the 1-4 win range, which is pretty much exactly what we said when you and I did our projections.
Yeah, the Vikings will, once they've won less than 5 games, what, once in the last how many years? Last time they won less than that was 2013 when they went.
2012, no, 2013, yeah.
It was the year after them, but yeah, 2013. The Vikings will pretty much never ever be in that 1-4 win range, just as an organization, because of the constant state of somewhat contending that the Wolves want to be in. I think the most interesting thing about a 5-12 season is a court like where are they getting the wins at in the schedule, and has JJ McCarthy played?
Yep.
Because like if you're 5-12 at some point, say you're 3-9, 2-9, is McCarthy playing? Like McCarthy's got to be playing at that point. You would think, unless
I
Darnold
would
is
think.
somehow playing well and you're 2-9.
Well, I mean, we saw that with Kirk at the beginning of last year, being 1-4. Now 2-9 is obviously a more extreme version of that, but like this by a single game by game basis, that's not unfathomable.
And it's
All
all
right,
relative too.
we're gonna do the last one because this one is so specific that if this, I'm gonna bookmark this right now for Skull Swag. 8-9 or 9-8. Sam Darnold, 4,000 plus yards passing in 25 to 30 TDs, and wins comeback player of the year. Justin Jefferson, 1,500 plus receiving yards and 12 TDs, which I believe would be his career high for touchdowns. And yeah. Aaron Jones, 1,000 rushing yards. Justin Jefferson, or Jordan Addison, over 1,000 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. This one is where the specificity just cracks me up. CJ Ham, 90 rushing yards and 2 TDs. TJ Hawkinson, 900 plus receiving yards and 8 TDs. If this hypothetically all happens, congratulations, Skull Swag. You now own our show.
Put that on a parlay. At first, I was kind of like, how are you going to go 8-9 or 9-8 with Darnold 4,000 plus yards and 25 plus touchdowns, Jefferson, Addison,
Oh,
Hawkinson all having
sorry, hold on. He has 2 more replies to his own thread.
Oh,
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
no, it's
But
okay. Go ahead. I want to
Harrison
speak completely
Smith,
on this.
over 100 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 1 touchdown. Cam Bynum, 87 tackles, 1 interception, 4.5 sacks. 13 tackles for loss. Dallas Turner, 60 plus tackles, 10 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. Sneak an interception in there. Grenard, over 100 tackles, 14.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss. Blake Cashman, 2 interceptions, 100 plus tackles, 11.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. Andrew Van Ginkel, 80 plus tackles, 10 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and our cornerbacks 78 tackles each, 6 interceptions combined, and 1 TD. Harrison Phillips 60 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 2 deflections, 10 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. We would go undefeated, no?
Yeah, that's okay. So first thing I want to say is this guy is awesome. Second
I
thing I
love this person.
second thing I want to say is, can we please buy him Twitter Blue so he doesn't have to reply to himself if he wants to tie that much? Third thing I want to say is the original thing I was going to say before we found out he was talking to himself is that if Darnold was going to have those stats, Jefferson, Addison, Jones, Hawkinson, I was like, how are they only going to go 8-8 and 9-8, or 8-9 or 9-8? And then I remembered, oh yeah, the Kirk Cousins era. So that was my original thought. But now it sounds like the Vikings are going to be, without a doubt, the best defense in NFL history. But this
I love this.
this guy
Dude,
rocks.
Skullswag,
Yeah,
you're up there, dude. You
I'm
you
getting.
are now
We
I
need
didn't even see
to.
the because like it was one of those tweets that like got a couple replies and then everybody started to reply and I couldn't keep track. I saw his original reply, did not see the 2 replies under it.
Nice. Yeah, I think we need to like screenshot that, like the whole thing, and put it on shirt, and then I'll wear the
I
shirt.
am I am not opposed in any
'Cause
way.
that was awesome. It's
That is
never in your wildest dreams gonna happen, but that was awesome.
that is I'm hitting the follow button. He
Yeah,
follows me. I
got it.
haven't followed him back. I that
I'm
is
giving him a honorary follow.
yeah. Well, with that, we're at our typical runtime over what we expected.
Holy sh!
Um, I know, dude. Hey, shout out to having actual Vikings football news to talk about, and it's only the first couple of days of camp, and we're already in really good spot as far as being able to talk about things. Some good, some terrible, but still, it's nice to have Vikings football back to some extent. I will
And we
say
got
this: I am upset. I did realize that the first preseason game, JJ McCarthy's first time in US Bank Stadium, is during my sister-in-law's wedding.
uh, that must suck.
The things you do for family and for the wife, sacrifices will be made.
Oh my
But
god, that's in like 2 weeks, isn't it?
in the
Three
car
weeks,
on the way to the reception, your boy will be on the NFL app, reactivating his NFL Plus subscription,
of course.
and hoping to God I get to catch JJ entering the game.
So true. And I think that would be really fun to go see. So I might have left Twitter, but I still have a SeatGeek code. So if you want to go see JJ McCarthy at US Bank Stadium, code Brev will give you $20 off your first purchase. Or
As will
Jason
code
H.
Jason H. Yeah,
Yeah.
either one. But maybe, I mean, hey, maybe, you want to go to a baseball game because
Mhm.
it's what, 2 months left of the regular season. You want to be able to enjoy summer? Works for that too. It may even work for the Olympics. Catch a flight to Paris. Just don't fly on Delta.
Mhm.
That's probably my one piece of advice I'd give right now as far as air travel.
Wait, why? No, like
I don't know.
actually. No, I swear to God, you Delta's like
the
your
The
whole thing.
world shut down. I love Delta, but right now I think they got it fixed. Just avoid Delta in the interim because when
What
the
happened?
world got shut down last week, everything
Oh,
got blue screen. Delta's the last to catch up, so it's a they're catching up now. I still love Delta. Delta's my favorite
okay.
company to fly on, but right now there's just a ton of delays and cancellations. I
I thought
think they got it fixed now.
I
No,
thought they
I
might have been like racist or touched kids or something, so we're good.
no, I love Delta, but
Okay.
like right now it's just some of their airports or their hub airports are having some significant delays. So
Phew. Close one.
maybe just check into it. I don't know.
Did you say there's only 2 months of the baseball regular season left?
I believe so.
Oh no.
What are we gonna do?
No.
As a
Please.
as a Southern California born Dodger fan, I only care about the playoffs and seeing what Dave Roberts does to rip my heart out.
The best
But
thing about baseball
I am
ending is
catching a Twins
hockey
game.
starting. Oh,
Is what?
congrats. The best thing about baseball ending is that hockey is starting.
That's fair.
So true. Talk about another
Well,
team that's not going to do anything this year, but you can close the show.
that's like the fourth time you've ended one of our shows by just talking about how the Wild aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, I think it's
Just
like this.
random drive-bys at your favorite hockey team.
They deserve it.
Well, with that in mind, we appreciate you guys. Welcome to
Do
football
we?
season officially. I don't know, Brev. That's for you to tweet about. Oh, wait, you can't. We'll see you next week.